Hi, I'm Tim Wilson, and today what I'm doing is a quick drawing of Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad movie, but I'm doing her in the shape of a bunny. Anyway, what I've done is I've done the initial drawing using an iPad and pencil, but of course you could always do that on normal pencil and paper. And I'm taking this into Illustrator, so I've brought it into Illustrator now, and I'm using the pen tool to just go around the basic shapes of the rabbit. Now I'm using the pen tool, but of course the pencil would do, or the brush tool, any of them really would give you the same result. You're just looking for lines. I've sped this bit up because otherwise it's a bit dull watching hundreds of lines being drawn. But it actually doesn't take that long when you're working on it yourself, even in real time. Once I've done all the lines, I then add brushes, and I'm selecting the various areas and adding brushes that I've created. I've got a thick, thin, thick brush and a thin, thick, thin brush, so two types of brushes, and depending on the line I'll use one or the other. Now you can see my lines are a bit thick at the moment, but what I do is I will select them all and then just take the stroke down to something which looks sensible, and then clean up the little funny edges that you get. Once I've done that, I can select all of these lines or brushes, and then I expand them, and this allows me to then use the erase tool to erase out the parts which are overlapping that I don't want. And once again I go through the whole image, just erasing out the parts that I don't really need. And of course I've sped this up again, but it actually in real life doesn't take that much longer. Now once I've finished doing all of these lines and checking that everything's okay, I will then select everything and then use one of my favorite tools, which is the Live Paint tool. Right, all the lines are now done. I select it, go to Live Paint and Make, and this then allows me to use the paint bucket and just very quickly drop color in. Now I'm working on a black background, or dark grey shall I say, because I want to be able to see the areas that I'm filling with white, because the rabbit's tail and various bits are white anyway. So I'm just choosing the colors, dropping the colors in very quickly. Once again, although this is sped up, it doesn't take that much longer to do in real life. Once I've finished doing all the colors and I've got roughly the colors that I want, I'll then select the whole thing and expand it so that I can get to the individual parts. And you can see now I've expanded it out. I've selected the body of the rabbit, and I'm going to use the knife tool to just cut these areas up. Really what I'm looking to do is to make separate objects out of the areas that I want, either for a highlight or for a shadow. Here we go, we're speeding up once again, but I really am looking at areas where there'd be either a highlight from behind, in this case, top of the ears, top of the fingers, top of the head, or shadows. I'm also making separate objects out of the areas by the eye. Now you'll see I can then just select these areas and change to a different shade of red, either a lighter or a darker, depending on whether I want a shadow or a highlight. Once I've done that, I'll use a gradient and just put a gradient in for the main areas. In this case, I'll be doing the body and the head and maybe the arm as well. So there we go, we've got those three done with a gradient, and I've done the face with a gradient as well. Now I've made a copy of the object. I've turned the copy black and used the Pathfinder to unite it together into one shape so that I can then make an outline out of this. This goes below the object. I can increase the stroke, and that gives me the white line around the outside of my cartoon. And then for the drop shadow, I don't actually use the drop shadow tool. I just make a copy of the object, unite it, and then put a bit of blur onto the object to just separate the graphic from the background. And lastly, the same sort of thing with a shadow. I just make a copy, unite it, and scale it down roughly into a shadow shape. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. My name is Tim Wilson from Red Rocket Studio.